Welcome to the American Dream Podcast World Tour. I'm your host, Katrina, and today we're excited to welcome a special guest from India. Join us to hear their unique perspectives on dreams and success. Let's explore the universal pursuit of the American dream through a global lens with our guests' insights. Welcome aboard. This is the American Dream Podcast. I'm in a studio with Naiya from India. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. Welcome to the show. I know that a lot of immigrants, when they come to the show, they choose a nickname that they say to American people. Is Naiya your real name?
That is my real name. I don't have a nickname.
Okay. So you got lucky then that your foreign name, your Indian name is simple to pronounce.
Yeah, and I wanted to stick to our roots. You know, like we all travel from different countries, and I really wanted to stick to our roots.
Yes.
So
I tried to do that too. It didn't work. My name is way too long and way too complicated. That's why I just go by Katie. But we know each other through Chanel, which is your husband.
My husband.
Yes. And he actually was a part of this podcast 2 years ago also. Yes. And I got to know his story, and I'm excited to get to know yours. So can you share a little bit about your background?
I am Indian, obviously. So I came here in 1997. So I was very young when I came here.
Oh, wow.
But I was born in India, and I still have a lot of family back home. So we go home a lot.
So where in India are you from?
I'm from Gujarat. Ahmedabad is a state, or Gujarat is a state. Ahmedabad is a city. So that's where I'm from.
Awesome. Okay.
Yeah.
And how old were you when you moved here?
6.
Okay.
I just turned 6.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you still might remember a little bit of your life in India before you moved here.
Oh, yeah. I definitely do, because I went to school there, and every year we would go home because my grandparents were older and they weren't traveling to the U.S., so we would go home every year.
Oh, okay. So how was your life in India before you moved here?
So it's so different from here because everyone lives as a joint family. So my dad lived with his parents and his sister. I had an older cousin, my sister, and then my brother. So we all lived in one house.
That's a lot of people.
Yes. But it's a lot of fun. You're not depressed. You always have something to do.
You're not alone.
Yeah. You're not alone. You always have somebody, whether you like it or not, and then you just get used to that. So when we moved here, it was really hard for us because we didn't have that.
So who made that decision, and why did you guys decide to move to the United States?
So my mom's mom, she came here in late 80s, early 90s. So she was our bringer to America, gave us the dream, right? And then, my parents decided, okay, they filed for she became a citizen and went through the whole steps of filing for
documentation.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we came via my grandmother.
Interesting. So you were 6 years old. How did your parents approach you that, Naiya, we're moving to America? And how was your reaction?
I think we were all excited because when we're little, back in the 90s, it's a lot different, right? Going to America, going abroad is wow, I'm doing this. It was definitely hard when we first moved because America wasn't developed to have a different culture at that time, right?
It wasn't as accepted.
Yes. But also the food, personalities, the things you do, just the day-to-day stuff. Not only that, but your cultural events and religious events, it's different.
How did you overcome these challenges as a 6-year-old girl?
It was very hard. I remember crying because people would make fun of me because of our accents. Because it's different, right? And we grew up British English and not American English. So we already have that a little bit of a different accent.
Me too. That's the English I was learning too. Yes.
So spelling is a big thing for us. I still suck at spelling. Because
same.
Right? So it's just some of the pronunciations, you have to mentally prepare yourself. My brother's younger than me. So when he came, it wasn't as hard for him because he grew up here, basically. He was 3 when we moved here.
Oh, okay.
So he started his base of learning his vowels and consonants in America.
Yeah, he was little.
So it's so much easier. Like if we all speak, like you'll know, like I'm good, but not the best. And then my brother speaks and you're like, oh, wow.
That's a whole other level.
Yes, it is.
So what were the top challenge for you as a 6-year-old girl that you moved here?
Food. I will tell you the food was the biggest thing. We don't eat meat because a lot of folks from Gujarat, they don't eat meat. So we're primarily vegetarian.
Why? Why is that?
Not all of India is vegetarian, I will say that. So the region we grow up, like there is no cattle. It's all agriculture.
Oh, okay.
So it's grains and bunch of lentils and stuff like that. But if you go up north, they're more into lamb, sheep, and stuff. Down south is all fish because it's around the water. So it's kind of like that.
Okay, so you were 6, you saw American food, and you were like, this is disgusting.
Pretty much.
What was it that you tried?
Just like because we're so used to like the Indian rotis, like tortillas and our vegetables. That's our standard. Like we've never seen bread. Because that's not our staple food. Like our staple food is like roti. I mean, now it's more developed and everyone eats bread and stuff. But back in the days, it's rice and lentils and stuff like that. So like just a whole different food altogether.
Okay. What about your brother? Did he like American food? He was only 3. He probably adapted quicker.
He adapted quicker, but he did... Because our house is still like Indian, we didn't have that, you know?
Oh, okay. So your parents were still cooking Indian food inside your household?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Okay. So it was
made
probably
it a little
easier.
bit easier. But like when we went to school and stuff, it was harder because like, what do we take for lunch? You know?
What about cultural differences that you've noticed?
I will say America is more independent driven, whereas India is very dependent. You depend on your siblings, your aunts, uncles, grandparents, parents. So when you come here, it's like you have to learn to do everything for yourself. No one's going to stick up for you. And that was like the biggest thing.
Did you like that? Did that grew on you?
It was hard, but now I will tell you, I am very independent and I hate help. Like that was like a big struggle. It's just like I hate getting help from people. So
Tell me about your life now in America. How are things for you now? It's been how long since you moved here? Since 1997. I'm bad at math.
So 23, 24 years.
24.
I would say a little bit more. Yeah, somewhere around there.
Yes. So how is your life now?
I would say my life is wonderful. It's great. Would I change anything? Probably not. But my life, you know, we're living the American dream of having kids, a house, a dog, work.
So the staple of the American dream, you have it in your life.
We have achieved it. I can proudly say like my husband and I have achieved that.
And you have a little kid together.
We have a 2-year-old.
Do you have? Yes. And I saw pictures. She's adorable. And do you kind of, I don't want to say force, but do you say to your kid that she needs to follow some Indian traditions too? How is her childhood going right now?
So her childhood, we try to incorporate our Indian culture a lot. So we speak our native language, which is Gujarati, to her. And she's fluent, like, I mean fluent.
Wow.
She's very sassy. So I don't know where she gets that from, but she's very sassy.
Probably Chanel.
Probably. But I did not want to say that. But she, like, we still cook our Indian food. Not every day, but at least like 3 or 4 times a day. And she'll always ask for that whenever we're like, oh, what do you want to eat? So her favorite is pizza, pasta, and she loves roti shak, which is our staple food that we eat every day. So like if you give those 3 things to her, she'll be happy.
But pizza and pasta are kind of like Americanized.
That's very Americanized.
Yes. So the only Indian food that she eats is
she'll eat everything Indian that we cook, but like that is like if you're like, oh, Ira, what do you want to eat? Like that would be something that she would. Like, if you give any of those, like, she'll be happy.
How do you balance this American part of the society with the Indian part of the heritage that you carry in yourself for your child, for your family?
So it's hard. Like, Chanel and I talked about this before having kids. Like, what do we want to incorporate? Because obviously living in India, we know that there's pros and cons. Living in America, we know what the pros and cons are. So we try to take the best of both worlds and kind of blend it together. You know, she still speaks English. She goes to school, so she has that English American culture. And then when she's home, we try to incorporate our Indian culture, especially with like our holidays. You know, we celebrate Easter, we celebrate Christmas, but we also celebrate our Indian holidays. So she understands both of it.
That holiday, I saw a travel show about India and they celebrate Holi.
We just did that, yes.
When was that?
We went to Kansas City because my parents live there. Like my sister and everybody came down. So this was like the first time as a family, like all of us doing it. So it's the Festival of Colors.
Yes, when you throw like colorful, what is this? Colorful flour or something?
No, it's like powder.
Oh, okay. So just the powder.
So it's powders, but they're just a bunch of color. It's just celebrating like the farmers, so celebrating the season of growing now.
Oh, okay, so it's springtime celebration. I bet your daughter loved that, throwing things and
had a blast, like
make a mess.
Oh yeah, she was like, I'll show you pictures of it. Like she's like just covered in there, and it was her first time. Like I took her when she was a baby, but she doesn't remember. So this is her first time actually experiencing, and she had a blast.
So let's talk a little bit about your professional part of the journey here in the U.S. Did you went to school here? Are you working? Are you an entrepreneur?
Yes.
I don't know actually anything about your background in that sphere.
Yeah.
So
I went to school here and I graduated with different degrees. Like people always ask me like, wow, you jump around. But I wanted to be a nurse from all along. But it kind of comes back to the Indian culture. Being a nurse in India is a lot different. So my parents did not want me to do that. They wanted me to be an engineer. You know, like, I think nursing in India was looked down upon during that time, like when they were growing up.
Why?
I don't know how to say it, but like it was looked as not a good profession. Like it was one of the lower income kind of profession.
Ah, because of the income.
Yeah, and also the care. Like doctors are given more praise compared to nurses.
Oh, that's not fair.
No.
Okay.
But like that's like the culture it was, you know, growing up.
Yes, back in 90s and late 80s.
So, and then I explained to them, you know, like this is what I want to do. They're like, well, why don't you try engineering? So I was like, fine. I got into aerospace engineering, and then I was like, I can't do this. Like it just wasn't me. So my grandfather passed away in 2013, and I remember like, I don't know, that's during that same time I went to KU. So that's in Lawrence, Kansas. It's the University of Kansas. I remember I was helping like a friend of mine. They have like this house and they would just do like hot dogs for the drunk people. So I was just helping. And the house next door had a guy who was drunk and he like fell off the balcony. It was scary. And it was like at 2 a.m. or something.
What storage balcony was that? What floor?
I think it was the second floor.
Second floor?
So it wasn't too high, but it was high. And
high enough probably to break a leg or something.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Well, he fell and his girlfriend was there and they were just both drunk. And I like jumped in. I had my CNA at the time. So I knew what I was doing. And that was the moment I'm like, okay, I am meant to save people's lives.
Yes,
like that's just like,
you want to help.
Yeah, like I just get that enjoyment. So I dropped out of school and I went home. And I took all my stuff home and my parents were like, what are you doing? Why is all your stuff home? And I was like, well, my grandfather had just passed away that time. So I was like, you know what? I am going to nursing school because that's what I want to do. And it's hard to stand up to your foreign parents because we're taught to respect our parents, to do not like just do whatever they say.
Yes.
The respect, right? So I didn't have the guts. But like that moment I explained to them like this whole situation. They're like, what? You did that? You called 911 and did all of that? I was like, yeah. And I said, I want to do this. So I got into nursing. I got my like LPN and my RN. And then I worked for 5 years as a nurse. And in America, nursing is no longer the same as well.
How is that?
It's just more insurance based. It's not patient care driven. It's more paperwork now. So you don't have the face to face. And I really miss that. So then I went to electronic healthcare records. So I started doing that I started in 2018.
You are just all over the place. Engineering, nursing, what is this? Electronic
healthcare
Electronic healthcare.
So we manage all of hospitals across the U.S., their healthcare records. So I started doing that. Having the nursing background, I was on their nursing team. And so we implemented the new systems at the hospital so they can provide better care and try focusing on the patient care and less paperwork, because everything was on paper. So now it's more electronic. Now everything's on computer. So it's a little bit easier. So I did that. So I got my business administration degree then. So I got my bachelor's in that. And then we got married and I started having like a team lead positions then. Well, being a team lead, you needed to have your master's. So I did my master's in healthcare information.
So you were still sticking to the healthcare path.
Yes.
You still wanted to help people. You still wanted that medical field. You were just kind of jumping around the specific kind of fields of it.
Yeah. I was lucky enough to have mentors. You hit a cap at a point, right? Any job, you're going to hit a cap. And I didn't want that. Like, I wanted to grow, not just financially, but physically as well. So I figured out, what can I do? Just getting my nurse practitioner, I'm going to hit a cap. Like, I'm not going to be able to do anything after that. So I was like, okay, I'm not going to do it. I still have people tell me like, why don't you just become a nurse practitioner? You're really good. I said, I know I'm good, but that's not going to make me happy. Like, I kind of did all of that. So I recently just quit my job in January.
Sorry. You're just like, I dropped out of school. I got my bachelor's. I got this, and that. And I quit my job.
I did. I did. Because last year in April, it's actually a year, we bought a residential care facility.
Interesting.
So my goal was to continue doing both, but it was hard. Like, my baby's still 2. So I wanted to spend some time with her. It was a hard decision to leave a 6-figure job to stay home and be an entrepreneur. Because we all know businesses are great, but they're not. You have to hit it off,
Yes.
The first 3-4 years are going to be struggle. So I actually quit my job just in January so I can spend more time with my baby and focus on the facility. So it's a licensed by mental health.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So that's what I do now.
Awesome. Okay. So do you think you succeed professionally?
I think so. I think I'm happy. Like, if the world was to end today, I'd be happy because I know that I did everything I could, everything set,
What is your biggest achievement in your career path? That is just the memorable moment that you can share with us.
Being a nurse. That is probably hands down the best thing. I will be ever thankful for my nursing career because I've seen a lot, done a lot, helped a lot. And that is the best. Like, some days I'm like, oh, I miss holding the newborn babies. I miss helping the elderly. It's just, but right now where I am happy. Awesome. And I get to do that with my facility because it's 18 and older. So I have my youngest is 20 and my oldest is 75. So I have a range of
different people to help. Yeah. So how has your Indian heritage helped you succeed in the U.S.? How do you think that Indian root inside of you helped you fight for that American dream?
So all these like Gujaratis are known to be, they compare the Jewish and the Gujaratis because they're very like, how do I put, they don't like to spend money. They like to save. So like that aspect of like, you want the best, but like you want to hold on.
Frugal.
Yes, frugal is the word. Yes. So I think that has helped because even though like my husband and I make money, we were like, okay, is this worth it? Do we need it? No. Then we don't buy it.
So you're being smart about the money.
Smart about the money, yes. And not always buying the expensive stuff.
Awesome. Have you faced any discrimination or maybe situations where a person offended you? because of your heritage, because that you are Indian?
So when I first bought the facility, yes, I did experience that because I'm Indian. I'm not Christian. I am Hindu. So a lot of the religion kind of sometimes plays, not necessarily my color, but my religion.
Oh, okay.
When we first moved to Bolivar, actually, we were at Walmart and someone made a comment, and I think people were not exposed to different races. So,
well, it's a small town, probably.
It's a small town, yeah.
Yeah. How do you deal with that? With the uncomfortable comments or looks?
Honestly, I've just learned to ignore that because you never know what people are. Guns are a big thing now, right? So I hate saying this. Like, I don't know what they're carrying or what their mind process is. Like, I am a better person. I'm just going to say, okay, and move on. Like, pretend like I didn't hear it. I don't let it get to me.
Which is a smart thing to do because you don't want to deal with the, people who, like you said, might carry like a knife or something. And if you say something back just to protect yourself mentally, it will probably harm you physically.
Right.
So,
I mean, people are going to talk, right? Whether racist or not racist, they're going to talk. So I just take it a grain of salt and move on. Okay, you said it made you happy. Okay. Did it hurt me?
Good for you.
Like, did it hurt me? No. Did it hurt my feelings? Probably just a little, but whatever, you know?
Absolutely. Do you still maintain your connection with the family that is left in India?
Thank God for technology. FaceTime.
Okay. So just FaceTime?
FaceTime. And they usually come here because they all have visas to America. So when they come here, we get to see them. And my parents go back every year. So when they're there, we FaceTime all the time. And I still have friends and we talk to them, text, like WhatsApp, right? So we'll WhatsApp them and stuff like that.
So you are still in good relationships and a constant communication with the family that's left in India. That is very important.
Yes. All my cousins are here, though. So like my aunts and uncles are still there.
Awesome. That's great. See, I'm always so jealous of immigrants that have a chance to do that because all of my family is left in Russia. It's just me and my mom here. That is all. That is the only family I have here. So it's always like thinking about that makes me feel a little sad, but it's whatever. It's not complaining.
It's hard. It's definitely hard. Like, it's the same thing for you, right? Going back home, it's not an easy trip. Like, you have to plan that. It's not like, oh, yeah, I'm going to go to New York and come back.
Yes,
like,
and it's a lot of money, too, and it's the jet lag, the changes of times, the climate, everything.
Yes.
So can you share any advice or insights for other immigrants from India if they're planning to achieve their American dream?
I would say go for it. Like, don't be scared to try anything, because what are you going to lose? The most thing you're going to lose is money. If you have a stable job and if you're saving up, like, you can find a job. America's great about there's always going to be a job, whether that's at McDonald's or at a corporation. You're still going to find a job. And I think that comes within you. Like, you can't be like, well, I'm too good to work at McDonald's or any fast food.
Which a lot of people think so, because a lot of immigrants come here with an education and background. Yes. Like, my mother, she has a veterinary doctor diploma and she's an RN nurse, and she had to give up all of that because she doesn't speak English.
Right.
That's it.
And it's hard, but you know what? Props to your mom, because she's doing it.
Yes, she's trying to fight for her American dream. Yes, no matter what.
She's doing it.
Yes.
So like it's that will, right? She has that will. Like, I don't care. I'll do anything, whether that's, like I said, working at a fast food or going to corporate. Like, you just have to have that in America to make it.
And looking back at your journey, what has been the most rewarding aspect of your journey pursuing the American dream?
Like, I would say I'm thankful for my parents. That is the biggest thing, because if they weren't here, and if I remember my parents both of them worked 3 jobs to make it. So I have an older sister and she would take care of us. So watching that, like, fine, I can do it. If they can do it, I can do it.
It was very inspiring and motivating for you to move forward.
Knowing that your parents can do it, not knowing English, because when they came, they didn't know English, they didn't have money.
Absolutely. And looking ahead, what are some of your future aspirations and plans for your maybe future American dreams?
Well, I still want to grow. We want to, I love having my residential care facility. So I keep telling Shannon, I said, I want to have at least 1 or 2 more so I can help. And mental health is a taboo that nobody really talks about. Even in such a developed country, it's still a taboo, you know. So that's a rewarding journey on its own, being able to help.
Welcome back. You're listening to the American Dream podcast, and I'm here in the studio with Naiya from India.
Yes.
Thank you so much for visiting me today, by the way. I always forget to thank my guests, and every time I edit this podcast, I always listen. I'm like, I've never thanked them for their time and for, you know, sharing their beautiful story and their journey on this platform. This part of the podcast is my favorite one because we are taking trips to different countries, not physically, of course. Right. It's all imaginary. So you are a native from India.
Yes.
What do you think sets your country apart from all of the rest of the world as the good place for traveling?
The vibrant colors and the food. The food is exceptional. Like, to this day, if anybody comes from India, they're like, what do you want? I'm like, food. Like, just bring food back because it's so flavorful, so different. Like, that is the best part.
What about some unique cultural experiences?
Well, India is full of different cultures. There's so many different states. So every state is so different. Even when I go back home, like, I'm always shocked because what we celebrate, other states don't celebrate. So it is always an experience for us.
So where would you recommend for a tourist from America that have no idea where they're going to India? Where should they land? Where should they go? Should they go to the capital? Should they go to where you're from?
There is no right answer because all of it is beautiful. So I'll tell you what we do. We take this long 22-hour flight back home.
It's all one flight, 22 hours?
No, it's not all one flight.
Okay. Oh, God.
But it's 22 flight time. So then you have your, holds everywhere. Layover and all that stuff. So we typically start our journey at home because we want to meet people and stuff. I've traveled to northern part, like not too far. So like Delhi and stuff. Beautiful. You get to see the Taj Mahal. It's colder. The culture, the weather is different than in like where I am from. It doesn't snow where I'm from. It kind of, you get flurries and snows up there.
Interesting.
Then you have Kashmir, which is kind of, it's known for its nature, the beauty. So if you go
Kashmir?
Kashmir,
I thought it was like the material.
Nope, it's a country.
Interesting.
Like it's a state. So,
okay.
But it's very beautiful, cold. It's the water's just pure like blue. So beautiful there. And then you can go down south where it's more tropical. You have a lot of boats and ferries and canals and stuff like that. So again, all of India is like, it's different everywhere you go. So there is no one particular place that I would say, oh yeah, you should just go right here. Because all of the food's different.
Everywhere, in every different state.
Yes. So if you go down south, the food is going to be completely different. They cook more with coconut. And they have a lot of fish.
Interesting.
And rice.
Okay. What is the best way of transportation in India? How do you travel in between those states?
So transportation is so cheap there. So whether you're flying, like flights, if you're going from one state to a different, sometimes you can take the flights. Now they've come out with like these trains, like trams, like our Amtrak, but these are quicker and like they're coached. So they have AC units. They provide meals for you.
Oh, so they're fancy.
They're fancy. And I mean fancy. So like they give you like their reclining chairs and stuff like that.
Wow. And how much does it cost to take that train? Like in dollars?
If an 8-hour drive, like if you're going from like, let's say from Ahmedabad to Delhi, which would be like 8 to 9 hour drive. it cuts it to like 6 hours because you don't have the traffic. It's just one rail. So, and it's like $25-$30, like super cheap.
Okay, I was going to ask you, how much would it cost for an American person to travel to India? What is the cost of the traveling?
The tickets are the most expensive thing.
So
And
just flying there would be the
flying there is
main.
like really expensive. It's like $1,500 easy.
For one person?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And that's
is it?
economic.
Oh, okay.
That's
It's
like
one way?
economy. No. Like
Round trip.
it depends when you're going.
Okay.
So like if you're going on off season, $1,500. Like if you're gonna go, let's say during holidays, like Christmas and stuff around that time, $2,200 easy.
Wow.
So that's the most expensive part. But like the currency right now, it's like $1 to 88 rupees. So it's fairly cheap far as that goes. Like when
When you're inside of
Yeah.
India already, when you already
when
landed.
you're there, it's a little bit affordable, more affordable, I would say, than the tickets.
So speaking of the times of the year when you should visit India, when is the best time to visit your
Somewhere
homeland?
from November to February or March, because it gets really, really hot. And I mean to the point where people get malaria and because of the heat, you know, and a lot of mosquitoes. We're a tropical country, so it's a lot of mosquitoes.
My biggest fear. I hate bugs so much. I would probably have to like rub
so-
myself in castor oil or something.
But that's why we go from like November through March, like end of March, because it starts to get hot during end of March, and then you get the monsoon season in like June, July. So we try to avoid from April to like September because it is hot. It's so hot. Like the heat, like in the shops close down during the afternoon hours because it's so hot. Nobody's shopping. And they open later because it's so hot.
Okay, so what about festivals and what do people expect to see, what they should expect to see during that time, that period that you just shared?
The festivals, there is no festival during the time that we would go.
Okay, that's why I was confused. I was like, I understand the weather is probably nicer, but, you know, for the attractions and actual events that tourists might be interested to see.
I mean, the one festival is it's called Uttaran. That's January 14th of every year.
Okay.
And that's like, you basically fly kites that day.
What does that mean?
Uttaran.
Okay. I don't know what that means.
That's how
but
you
thank
say
you
it.
for
Yeah, but it's just a festival where we have 2 days, the 14th and the 15th. That's what we celebrate. And
Interesting.
We have,
Okay.
like winter foods and winter foods meaning like vegetables that just grow in the winter time. And it's not, I don't even know what they're called in English because we don't have them here.
Yes, they're just exotic vegetables that
Yeah.
a tourist might be interested to try.
So 14th and the 15th is the only festival we truly have because our festivals are like the Mayan calendar where it's based off of the lunar and solar, the moon and the sun. So it's never like the same dates.
Oh, okay, so it depends on the sun and the moon on
Yeah.
on the festivals, on holidays.
Yes.
Okay.
Like our calendars and stuff as well.
On our previous break, we mentioned a little bit about Holi.
Yes.
In the same travel program, I saw something interesting. On that holiday, they were collecting cow turds, putting them on top of each other and burning them in the middle of an Indian town. I don't remember the name of.
Yep. So we take the cow dung, I guess you want to call it. I don't know. So basically they flatten it out and dry it. And we have, so Holi is a female word. So it's kind of like Spanish, you know, we have female and male words.
Okay.
So Holi is a female word, which we put a fire. So it's fire.
So Holi means fire?
No. So Holi, like that's what we pray to the fire, the god of fire. So that's what they they put dates.
Okay, that makes sense.
They take a coconut
Yeah.
and they take dates and like the cow dung you were saying, and they put it in the fire.
Interesting.
Yep.
Okay, because I was watching that and I was like, I bet the smell is not very appealing.
But when you put it in the fire, like
It just smells like something is burning.
yeah,
Okay.
because you have think about it, you got dates and then coconuts, and a lot of people put their baby's clothes
Oh.
Because the holy ma is the fire, and it's meant to believe that it's a healing. So if you have any pains, or if your baby's always sick, or anybody, you would put their clothes in there to it would
Cure them, or ask for a god of fire to cure your baby, basically. Okay.
Yeah.
And another thing I had a question about, in the same travel show, I saw that the person was running through the fire, and apparently it's some kind of there is a name for those people who are like practicing for the entire year to be in that zone, to run through the fire on Holi.
So all of that happens more in the villages, where it's still very orthodox and conservative.
Oh, okay.
So when you're in the city, it's a lot different. The city life is a lot different than the village life. Like, some of villages still don't have electricity. They still don't have restrooms and stuff like that.
Okay.
So it's very orthodox living, and their education isn't as par. Because they're meant to be on the farm, at a young age. They're like 2-3-year-olds are farming.
Interesting. Okay. So speaking of the lesser known destinations, what are some small towns that you can recommend to travelers to visit? Or maybe like lesser known destinations, not necessarily towns, but maybe like an interesting waterfall or a forest.
There are a lot of forests in India. So the one that I know, like, I don't know if they're like lesser known, but the one that I have always wanted to go to is Girnar, that's in Gujarat. And they take safaris. It's not like the African safari by any means, but you can get in like a safari, like a Jeep, and they take you in the middle of the night and the daytime and stuff like that.
Oh, okay.
Because there are a lot of forests.
Any other places? Maybe towns?
Like, on my list, it's all like bigger cities, right?
Okay.
Because again, you always have safe spots and not safe spots. Like, I would not really visit the villages because, one, they're illiterate, so it makes it harder when they see people, not just because I'm coming from America, but like even in India, if they see people with money, it's more chances of getting
they'll take advantage of it.
Yeah, they do.
Okay.
So we try to avoid the smaller villages. If I am not from that village, I'm not going.
Okay.
Like my parents, because my parents still, everyone came from a village at one time or not. So when they go back to their own villages, it's easier to go with them because they know the people. Instead of us just randomly going. I would never go.
So you recommend bigger cities. And they are safer. Which one is your favorite one?
I mean, I'll say my town because that's where I've always been. But we have nightlife is amazing because all the food stalls, like they have food carts and they're open till 2 or 3 in the morning.
Oh.
And it's always busy all day. Like, it doesn't matter when you go.
And you said it's very safe.
It's safe. Yeah. Like, there's nothing, I wouldn't worry about it.
Interesting. Okay.
But again, anywhere you go, like, you want to be sure that you know your surroundings, just the basic stuff.
India also has very interesting history. And very rich history. Yes. If someone is very obsessed with Indian history, where would you recommend them to go? How to start? How to kind of be a part of and educate themselves in India about Indian history better? Maybe there is monuments or something.
So you said it's very rich in history, right? So every monument, like the Lal Killa, that's all in the northern side, where the Maharajas, that's where they lived, where they fought. So like all of that stuff is really cool to see. Just going there, you will just learn a lot. And in my time, I've been to the Taj Mahal. I've been to where some of the kings used to live, right? Some like where they used to have the fights and stuff like that. So you get to see that, and like there is somebody who walks you through. So like there's a tourist guide.
I was gonna ask you, is it better to hire a tourist guide or go there just by yourself?
It's better to hire the tourist guide because if you don't speak the language, it's gonna be hard. So they speak English. The tourist guides speak English,
but people in India don't.
They do.
Okay.
But most people will speak either Hindi or their native language.
Ah, okay. Okay. So you need to know a little bit of Indian if you want to be by yourself in India.
Yeah. But if you go to the bigger cities, so I would say 50% of them speak English.
Okay.
Just because now that, like, in India, it's interesting. So we have two types of school. It's called English medium and Gujarati medium, like in our side. So you have a school that's focused on English and focused on our native language.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Okay.
So like earlier in the podcast, you asked, like, my parents knew they were going to come here. So they put all of us in an English school. So we learned more English than our native. Like, to how to write and stuff, we only learned English. We didn't learn how to write in our native language. But I can speak it fluently because we learned how to speak.
But you don't know how to write it?
I don't know how to write it.
Oh, interesting.
Or
Okay.
read.
Okay.
I can speak it fluently. And
But you won't be able to read or...
no, because I never went to school for that.
So usually in this podcast, I always ask my guests to teach me a little bit of their native language.
Sure.
So can you teach me a little bit of your language? You said you speak
Gujarati.
Gujarati. I can't even pronounce that.
You
That's a
said it.
terrible
You said
start.
it. Nope, you said it. It's Gujarati.
Gujarati.
Yes.
And can you teach me how to say the American dream?
The American dream. Oh, man. I don't think that doesn't translate.
Okay.
So some of the stuff, like, in English won't translate in our language.
Okay, let's scratch that. How do you say I like your shirt in your language?
Mane taru shirt game chhe.
Mane
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 taru
taru
shirt
shirt shirt
shirt
Okay. Gameche. Mane taru shirt gameche.
Yes. But, like, the American dream, like, sapnu is dream.
Okay. Sapnu, you said?
Sapnu.
Sapnu is dream. Sapnu is dream. Okay. Interesting. For some reason, I have the best luck with all other languages except Polish, is what I've learned.
Oh, really?
From the previous podcast. I can't pronounce that language at all, but Indian, I think I would be interested to learn a little bit about it.
I think you'd be good at it.
And I think the dialect is not that hard for me to pronounce anyway. For some people, it might be.
Yes.
But for me, it sounds like there is no, like, R, like in English,
No,
where you
we
have to,
don't
like,
have it.
move your tongue, like, inside of your throat
Yes.
to pronounce it.
No, we don't have that.
Awesome. Okay, so I like that. Check on India.
It's a really cool country. Like, I would say everybody needs to visit it because the perception is a third world country. Yes, it is a third world country, but you have one of the richest men living there.
That's true. That's true.
You can. I tell my husband all the time, I said, when we get older, I would love to go back and move back because it is growing. It developly, like industrial, their education's really good. So, like, they're developing. It's overpopulated.
Oh, okay. When was the last time you went to India?
It's been a long time. I went when my grandfather passed away. So it's
2013.
Yeah.
Okay,
it's been
so
10 years and we're
11 actually.
Yeah, 11. We were planning on going this year. So
With your daughter.
with my daughter, we want to
And
take
that would
her.
be her first trip. That's so exciting.
Yes.
That's so exciting. And you were planning to stay in your hometown?
Yeah,
Yes.
like my parents still have a house. Like my dad still has his house he grew up in. So we just go back there. And like all our neighbors were there when my parents were there. So like we know them.
As a native from India, what advice would you give to travelers on to ensure that they have a safe and enjoyable experience in India?
I would say just like do your research ahead of time, like what countries you want to go to or what exactly you want to see, because there's a lot to see. Even when you go for like when we go typically for 3-4 weeks, and I still don't get to see everything because there is so much to learn, so much just history there. So we typically do is like we'll go by region, like okay, we're gonna go to do the northeast region or northwest region, and we break it down that way so you get to experience all of that.
What about some religion and spiritual? things in India to experience for travelers? I know that there is this, stigma around religion, and you mentioned a little bit about that too.
So India is very accepting as far as religions goes, right? Because we have Hindus, we have Muslims, we have Christians, and Catholics.
Okay.
So it's very accepting as far as religion. If you go to any temple, you will never get kicked out. I will say you have to be modest, right? You can't just go in short booty shorts.
Yes.
But you just have to dress modest.
So be respectful of the religion.
Yes.
Yes. And are there any interesting religious traditions that travelers can engage with in India?
So we have multiple gods. So every temple is different when you visit them. So a lot of the times what we do is we always take an offering, whether that's sweets or fruits, to the gods when we go to our temples. So we make homemade sweets, different desserts, and we can take that. We take that to the temple, or different fruits.
I've never realized that is so similar to what we do in Russia too. We do it on Easter, actually. We bake a Easter pie, and we bring it to the church, and we place it under the icons. Yep. So it's very similar, but I've never seen Americans do that. So that would be very interesting and a cultural shock.
Exactly what we do. And then that offering gets distributed with everybody else that comes and goes.
So finally, can you share a personal, memorable experience from your last trip, or maybe not that one, maybe the one before that, that you just, I don't know, can sell people to go to India with?
We went to back in 2009 or 10, we went back and we traveled to Taj Mahal and I was saying, the forts and stuff like that. And gorgeous. I cannot even tell you, they take you on a horse on top of the fort, and you can see just miles and miles away, and they tell you the history of how the kings and all them used to rule. I mean, there are sad parts because there used to be and the women, if their husband dies, they would sacrifice themselves. So there are some crazy things as well, but it's just all history. I don't think I could ever do that. But that was the mindset, when your husband dies in a war, you would have to sacrifice yourself and stuff like that. So just seeing all the different history, and obviously there are movies based off of that too. So
what is something that everyone should bring with them from India?
I would say the clothes are amazing because everything's custom made. Nothing is a department store, where you go and you're oh, I want this. Even a simple shirt like this, they can custom make that. And it's not expensive.
So clothes.
I would say clothes.
Perfect.
Or food. Any snacks.
Welcome back. You're listening to the American Dream Podcast. I'm here with Naiya from India, and this half of the podcast is usually dedicated to the items that immigrants bring with them while they immigrate. I do know that you moved here when you were only 6, so I don't expect you to have too many items from India that are authentic, but maybe you brought something from your last trip with you?
I did not bring anything, but I have a lot of pictures.
Okay.
So we always bring back clothes, like I was telling you earlier. So we custom made this, and this is me and my daughter. So we always bring back our traditional clothes because you cannot find that here.
Beautiful. Wow. In India, you said it's not that expensive to customize clothes. How soon do they usually make it?
If you're there, they can do it within the week.
Oh, okay. Okay.
But even when I get them ordered from India, they usually come to me in 2 weeks.
Oh, wow.
It's pretty quick.
What is the store? Maybe we can link if somebody's interested to get a custom made outfit from India. What is the link? What is that store called that you're usually using?
So there are a few that I use. One is Your Designer Wear. That's where I got my husband and our wedding stuff from.
Which, by the way, was absolutely gorgeous. If you will allow me, I will put pictures of you and your husband wedding, because that looked like pictures from Google, something that is unrealistic.
Yeah.
It was absolutely gorgeous.
I will send them to you. Yeah.
Yes.
So, and then this one, it's called Little Muppet. And that has Mommy and Me and as well as like daddy and me. So like it's like a family. Obviously you don't just have to get your kids there, but like you can get your own adult sizing as well as kids. So I really like that for the kids, because sometimes, you know, like they get itchy from the inside, because our clothes are very intricate and they have a lot of details like embroideries, or they have like a lot of rhinestones and stuff, and it gets itchy for kids. Like they don't want to wear that. So they do a really good job, and it's all cotton, so it's not like,
so it's very soft on your skin.
Yeah, it's soft and it doesn't like scratch your skins. And yeah, she enjoys wearing them.
So that's the only outfit that she has?
Oh, she has a bunch. She has so many. Like when my mom goes back to India, she's made some matching ones for us.
Aww.
So
I love the matching. Every time I see anything matching, I always like, oh, see, this is what I'm talking about. This is adorable. And I see Chanel is wearing, is that custom made also for men?
Yes.
Wow. Made by the same people.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, because when we have our holidays and stuff, we typically I want to match, because she's younger and she's never gonna want to match with her mom or dad later.
This is the only time to like force her to do this.
Exactly. Yes.
Okay, we got off topic. I think we both are like, I looked at those pictures and yes, it's so beautiful. So do you wear this often?
We wear it when we have our festivals, or we have like religious stuff, that because we do different prayers, right? So like a housewarming prayer, or once a year we do stuff. So like during Diwali time we wear it. That's our New Year's. Right around our New Year's we'll wear that. So just like on different occasions, like when I did my baby shower, we wear traditional clothes. So we wear like saris and stuff. A lot different than what I just showed you.
Wow. Okay. So clothes is the first item.
Yes.
Do you have anything else?
The second thing in every Indian household is you're going to find a temple. So
a temple, like church temple?
A church temple, but it's like minimized. And so we put all of the gods that we pray to, because everybody prays to a different god, right? Like I said, so we put statues of them in the temple and we pray to them, and we do like our offerings and stuff like that every day.
Do you have a big temple or just a tiny one in your house?
Like this big.
Okay.
Yay big.
Okay.
It's not big, but it's just enough for us to pray.
Is it standing on a floor or on a table?
I actually have it hooked up on a wall with anchors, because my daughter is crazy.
Okay.
She likes to grab everything.
Yes, of course.
We have it up on the wall.
Do you teach your daughter about those things?
Yes.
How to pray, the religion and everything?
Yes. So every day we do arti. And that's like a diya, like a candle, you can say. And she goes around and gives it to everybody.
Aww.
Every morning she'll do that. That's like her routine.
Oh, that's so sweet. Okay, so temple, clothes.
Yes.
Anything else?
And then we bring back a lot of food. And I mean lentils and stuff, because we don't find that always in America. I mean, now it's getting easier to find some of that stuff. But even then, some of the flours, we just can't find them. So we bring some of that back from India.
What are the flours? Why are they so different?
It like sorghum flour, ragi flour. So they're not gluten. So it's a gluten-free base.
Oh, okay.
But it's hard to find them here. And it's not usually fresh. If we do find them here, it's not as fresh. So when you make the rotis or the tortillas, they're not going to be as soft. They're going to be chewy and stale, kind of.
What about any spices? Do you bring? Yes. Because when I told my coworkers this morning that I'm interviewing somebody from India, they're like, "Oh, she probably will bring some spices for you or something like that."
I didn't bring a lot, but we do bring spices back, because like our garam masala, that's our staple in most of our foods. You know, the turmeric. Even though we can find turmeric in America, the turmeric in India is a lot different. It's not like, I won't have color on my hand, because when you like, you know, when you go to the restaurant sometimes and the color comes on your hand and stuff, like the turmeric in India is not going to be like that.
So maybe because it's not artificial?
It's not artificial. It's very organic and it's very pure. And India has stores. They're called Karyana stores. Okay. And these stores, you take your grains and they mill it right in front of you. And then they just pack it and give it to you. So everything is like not processed. It's very fresh. So you just take your dried up turmeric and stuff and they'll grind it into a powder and put it in a packet and give it to you.
Awesome. Wow. Is there a store here in Springfield that is Indian?
We have several now. We have Bombay Bazaar, and then one's called AM/PM, which is off of Kearney. And then another one just opened up. It's called University Convenience Store or something like that.
Okay.
So we have several now.
You have several, but it's not the same as buying things in India because it's fresh there. It's authentic. It's just a different vibe.
And customs makes it like, okay, well, you have to put this down and FDA has to approve this.
Oh,
so
of course,
like, it's not as, I guess, I still think some of it is like different than when I would go and get it in my personal bag and bring it here.
It's not as raw, basically. Yes.
It's a lot more processed.
Well, awesome. Thank you so much for visiting me today, Naiya. I've learned a lot about Indian culture. How to say goodbye in Gujarati?
Avjo.
Avjo.
Yeah.
Avjo. Avjo. Yes. Thanks for tuning into the American Dream Podcast. For more episodes, subscribe on your favorite platform. Keep dreaming and see you next time.